All right. Well, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, we'll start out here on the public hearing for the revised Koochiching County ATV ordinance. A little bit of background here. Back on September 23rd, we met at the Committee of the Whole to discuss potential revisions to the existing ATV ordinance, which was put into place back in 2010. The ATV usage has increased here over the past few years, and our old ordinance didn't have specific items referencing like UTVs. It also had an obsolete speed limit to it, so those were revisions. We set the public hearing, when was it?
4 months ago.
Yeah, I think it was the end of September, beginning of October here. Ran the meeting notice in the 11/6 and 11/13 Rainy Lake Gazette. So that brings us to where we are right now. I'll go through the ordinance here quickly and highlight some of the changes that were made. I guess before we get into it, I can highlight the changes. First, in subdivision 1, we removed trial period language and also included recognition of the Voyager Country ATV Club. In subdivision 2, we expanded the ATV definition using Minnesota State Statute 84.92 subdivision 8, 84.92 subdivision 9, and 84.92 subdivision 10. This includes both class 1 and class 2 ATVs, essentially your regular four-wheeler and your side-by-sides. In subdivision 4, we updated the speed limit from 20 miles an hour to language which states, no person shall operate an ATV on Koochiching County maintained roads at a speed greater than reasonable or proper under circumstances, or at a speed greater than the posted or unposted speed limit on county roads for motor vehicle traffic. So that essentially states posted roads, whatever is posted, unposted roads are by state statute 55 miles an hour. So maintain a speed under that or at a reasonable level. And then finally in subdivision 6, we updated the effective date to January 1st, 2026. I'm not seeing a whole lot of folks here. Do we want to read through the entire?
I just think the intent, maybe just breeze over it if you want to. The idea of getting the class 2s in there, I think you mentioned, and then being able to update the speed limits, that'd be a little bit more of a definition.
Correct. Yeah, those 4 changes that were mentioned were the only changes. Removal of the trial period language, adjustment to include class 2 ATVs, adjustment of speed limit to hopefully help match us a little bit better with surrounding communities, and then the effective date. Nothing else was changed.
Everybody comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that, yeah.
Do we have any comments from the audience? Come on up.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, you were there when we had the meeting. And so.
Yeah, the main thing is the speed limit and get class 2 on there, and that takes care of both.
Nathan, you have anything to add?
I can add that to Joint Powers Board yesterday, we talked about this a little bit in there. I'm very pleased with you guys willing to consider this and hopefully move on from there. Clarify everything and eliminate any confusion that's up there. So we're looking forward to, once it's completed and passed, sharing it with everybody so people are aware and can look to find regulations and what's expected of those operators.
You guys will post it in your guys' notes too for the ATV club to let them know that we've updated everything to class 1, class 2 and the speed limit
Correct.
on your website.
I take care of the social media site, so I'll share that on there.
Perfect.
I'll also post this on my highway page as well.
Okay.
So people, yeah, assuming it passes, I won't jump ahead of myself here, but
Any other comments from the audience? Any comments online? You may have to raise your hand. We have you muted.
No, we don't unmute.
I don't see any.
It looks like there's no comments.
I received only one call on this yesterday, just asking in general what we were looking at doing. So, brief explanation.
They can unmute themselves now if they want.
All right, anyone online? Karen or anyone have anything to add? All right, no other public comments. We will adjourn the public hearing. All right, welcome everybody to the Koochiching County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, November 18, 2025. Would you please help me open with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. First item of business under county business is to approve the proposed agenda with additions and or deletions. We have one addition. The addition is consider adopting proclamation in support of National Rural Health Day, which is November 20th, 2025. And we will put that addition under A11 under county business. And are there any other deletions or additions? We had one addition into the fee schedule.
Just a modification, yeah.
It's a modification, not really an addition, just some updated pricing there, so. If there are no other additions or deletions, Chair would ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre. Discussion on the agenda. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you. The next item is to approve the minutes from the October 28th, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Discussion on the minutes. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is financial business. Chair today will accept the motion on items A, B, C, and D. A being approve October summarized payment listing. B, approve October payroll and ACH vendor payments. C, approve courthouse claims. And D, approve highway claims.
I'll make a motion.
a second.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Thank you, Commissioner Howell. Discussion on the payments. Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is approve a couple of warrant voids. One in the amount of $241.08. The other in the amount of $35.39. They were lost in the mail and the affidavits are on file. Thank you, Commissioner Howell.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre. Discussion on the voids. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up, Human Resources. Hi, Brian, come on up.
Morning, Commissioners. Happy Tuesday. Here to present 4A, B, C, D
First up is 4A, notice of hire for Karen Mackey was hired as accounting specialist with start date of next Monday, the 24th.
Right. Welcome, Karen.
And then 4B, we hired Alicia Booters as accounting technician 1 in public health, and she started yesterday. 4C, Leah Bacon was offered and accepted the position of public health nurse. Leah's start date was Monday, November 10th. And lastly, 4D, notice of status change. Keith Magler has separated his part-time E911 dispatcher corrections officer position as of 11/7, but he retains his current full-time deputy position. That's all I have. Let's move on. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. We will accept a motion to approve the employment separation, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. And welcome to all the other folks.
Yeah, done a lot of hiring, which
Absolutely.
hopefully we're good for a while.
Busy couple of weeks. All right.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Next item is the 2026 county fee schedule as presented with the following changes from the 2025 county fee schedule. Environmental Services did approve a fee schedule under board motion 2025-9-35 and the Cannabis Ordinance Board motion of 2025-06-05. And we have the addition to A5, which is just the approve a fee of $75 for each judiciary form per Minnesota statute 480.50, including real property notice, authorize a share, request to release, and consent to terminate. And it's effective, and it gives us some statute language. The other one is increased fee for a well certificate, also an increased fee listed for marriage license, and increased fee for marriage license with premarital education classes. So these are all as per Minnesota statutes. And we have the fee listing, and I believe we have to have this in kind of by the end of this month, I believe, right?
Yeah, I usually approve it in November for the first of the year. 30-day notice, I believe, is the requirement.
Yes. The wishes of the board.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is to authorize administration to seek bids for official newspaper. This is a required statute as well. We had trouble there a while back. If everybody remembers, we didn't have a newspaper there for a short time. And, we do have, obviously, the Rainier Lake Gazette, and then we publish in the Bear Chronicles and try to get that information out there. So, best we can. Thank you, Commissioner Erickson.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up. Next up is approved county board salary. County board must set its salary prior to the year it is effective for Minnesota Statute 375.055 per committee of the whole. Discussion at 3% increase to commissioner salary is up for consideration as follows. 2026 salary is $17,044, a 3% increase from 2025 salary, and 2026 daily per diem, $125 when performing board functions per policy. That is unchanged. And then we kind of follow the GSA for the meals and mileage and things like that. So that's, and then when that changes, I think it will change at the first of the year as well.
If we approve the mileage rate,
Right, yeah, we'll approve
After
the
the
GSA
first of the year.
mileage after the first of the year. So, wishes of the board.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Howell. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. A remote work policy. Consider a county remote work policy. We kind of, I think the administration's been working on this for a while, trying to gather information, and this is kind of, we had some temporary work policies set up during the COVID pandemic, and from there we were looking at getting something more permanent, and I think it'll be a work in progress from what I understand is, but we kind of got something at least on paper here to start off with anyway. Go ahead, anything to add?
sure, I know there was some discussion in some of our labor conversations this past year, and as well as a couple of directors want this to be an option. It certainly is not going to be feasible in all departments, but for where it makes sense and still benefits the county and the citizens that we serve, this will allow and provide a path forward in how the expectations are for working remotely. So this outlines kind of all the scenarios related to working remotely, along with an application and a kind of a evaluation process to determine if it's going to be a successful venture for both the employee and the county.
And it's pretty robust. There's lots of questions. There's an application, and it has to be acknowledged and signed off by a supervisor. And there's some acknowledgments of what is and isn't allowed as far as reimbursement and things like that too within here. And I can see this probably kind of being molded a little bit if it's needed to be as time goes on, I would imagine. So this has been reviewed. I think we had it through the directors and we had it in personnel as well.
Yeah, both the director group reviewed it, and so did the personnel committee, and both have recommended that it come to board to be approved.
Wishes of the board.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre. Discussion. Well, thanks for all your work on this. I know it wasn't easy. So there's lots of things you got to kind of watch for and everything. So appreciate all the time it took to get there. And like I say, if it needs to be adjusted or modified, we can certainly take another look at it. So, well, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is to consider approval of the county discipline and discharge policy. Again, another policy that we did not have.
Yeah, no, we didn't have a formal process in which to for employees to be aware of or for leaders to follow when it came to misconduct or discipline or discharge. So I know we negotiated progressive discipline language in all labor agreements this past year. So this policy is just to expand on that and outline the process in which will be followed in the event there's any discipline. Again, this was reviewed by directors and the personnel committee, and both have approved, recommended to come to board for approval. So,
Wishes of the board.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Thank you, Commissioner Hall. And this is a standard policy countywide.
countywide.
Okay, excellent. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item, consider approval of funding opioid grant requests.
So we've got members of the opioid committee here, a few of them anyway, so we're having them come up and to help round out kind of the process we went through. This is our second year that we've been through, sent out an RFP, a request for proposals. Last year we only had one applicant, and we granted that tall cop education to professionals. This year we had 9 applications totaling over $400,000. In your packet, I put a summary sheet together. So just to talk about the process, again, we had 9 applications for $402,900 in requests. As of the end of September, the county had $310,384.43 in settlement funds. Now we get those funds throughout the year over the next several years, but they don't always come in as projected. Some pay early, which pays down their debt further along, so the amounts will dwindle over the years to come. But there's also more settlements happening too, so we might see additional settlements that produce additional funding. Prior to having a process in place, the county board approved that process a couple years ago where we appoint the committee members, we approve the RFP process, the forms that are put out there and such, in the scoring sheets. So the committee did score all grant applications using the approved scoring sheet, and taking into account the community survey that we did on where these funds should be prioritized for, whether it's prevention or safety or education, those types of things. And the state has a MOU in place in which has an appendix that outlines all the different ways that you can spend this money towards. And so we take all those things into consideration when we're scoring these applications. The committee did then take the 5 top scoring applicants on average with the group and hear presentations from them. And then they made the following recommendations based on conversation and those scores. And you want to just walk through the different ones? So the first 5 are the ones that the committee's recommending either fully funding or funding partially. The first one came from the IFPD Drug Task Force. They provided an application and a presentation wanting some equipment for their drug task force, as well as training for 3 of their officers to go back, or to go out for training and then come back and bring that training back to the rest of their task force. Their request is for $21,000 for those things. And all these applications are in your packet, so if you wanted more detail, it's all in here. I'm just trying to summarize those applications. Anything to add with the IFPD request?
No, they had a really good presentation. It fell in line with what the results of the community survey were. It fell perfectly in line with what the MOU states. It'll be a great benefit to the community, provide education to all the officers, and help get the drugs off the streets. So it was a very, very well done presentation.
Number 2 was from Servants of Shelter. They had a request for $40,000. You can see there, pet boarding while someone is at treatment for $15,000, transportation to treatment for $87,500. There's $87,50. Overdose prevention supplies at $3,000. Short-term hotel stays while awaiting treatment, $10,000. Administration of programs, $3,250. And then they have matching funds of $19,000. We had a lot of discussion around this one at the committee level. I think the overdose prevention supplies, we were able to find some avenues where they could get those without apportioning money from the grants. The committee is recommending to partially fund this request, up to $10,000 for pet boarding and transportation to treatment. Again, she provided a pretty good presentation around the barriers to get people to treatment. So if someone needs treatment and decides that they're willing to go, and that there's a treatment bed available, it takes a while for those things to line up, but oftentimes the barrier is they can't leave their pets or they don't have transportation to the treatment. And sometimes it takes several days or a week to get transportation lined up. Well, sometimes that bed's gone, or sometimes someone changes their mind, right? So we thought that we would reimburse them up to $10,000 out of these funds to take away those pet and transportation barriers, and just collect the data this next year to see how that works for them and how many more people we're able to get to treatment by removing some of those barriers. And then maybe there's future programs that we could continue to support at this level or at a different level as well. So that's the recommendation there. Anything else from the committee?
I think summarizing it.
Okay. ISD 361 had a request and a presentation on vape detectors. I don't know if you hear from your kids that go to school, but I do hear from mine, and it happens everywhere. But bathrooms are the number one place where students go to vape, and oftentimes you can't supervise those areas when they're in there, and so they talk about a non-punitive preventative approach. So these vape detectors will notify staff on their phones in real time. They can respond, and they can provide education and try to prevent that from being a source. And you can vape all different types of substances, whether it's opioid or tobacco or
Cannabis.
They're seeing it not only in their high school but in their elementary school. So there's 4th and 5th graders are vaping. Locker rooms. So this would cover putting vape detectors in all of their bathrooms and locker rooms in the ISD 361 area. Anything to add, you guys?
I would just add that Little Fork currently has these, and they were working well for them. They find it to be a positive thing, so that was part of our decision making, as it is working in other schools. And the fall school is doing some remodeling, which would be a good time to add these as well.
So the committee is recommending fully funding that request. The next request was from ISD 361 again, but from the Alternative Learning Center, or ALC. Tim Everson is leading a group and a talking circle and a programming circle for students that attend the ALC. This funding is to provide programming and food and drinks and just to get kids there, and then to provide education to the kids that go to those programming. I think this was our highest scoring application. I think the conversation in the committee was that this kind of small group peer mentoring approach is really liked, but it takes some resources to not only get the kids there, but to get the speakers there, to get the right professionals there, in the right atmosphere where they're comfortable not only being there, but learning about the effects of drugs and alcohol and opioids in addition to those things. Again, we'll collect data on participation and different things. I think whether it's part of the ALC or children or young adults, these small group peer sessions I know have been talked about in some of our other countywide committees or the judicial system, and we're excited to see what the outcome is with that. But the committee is recommending full funding of that $17,875. Anything to add to that? I know Alana's been a part of that group.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I've been going in there once a week and doing prevention education through public health. And I do have to say that it's probably the most fun part of my week. They're engaging, they're excited, they want to learn. People want to come into the ALC to learn. The hard conversations are happening. Knowledge is power. And I think I have fun being there. I can't say that they are having fun, but it appears. And I hope it, continues and goes bigger as well.
They back in the high school now?
Yep.
Tim puts a lot of effort into whatever he does. He was the former principal and he did a great job.
He does, and he developed a program that, like Adam said, we've talked about in many different committees of how to reach these youth. This is a very at-risk population, and hopefully we can continue to grow on reaching other youth outside of the ALC as well.
One of the avenues that we try to teach or engage is the stigma that the kids may have with law enforcement, trying to build that connection and relationship that no, law enforcement isn't the bad guys, they're there to help, and just putting out stigmas and, again, education around all the things.
One other thing that they had in here was the pro-social activities. So these are kids that may not have the skills or know different pro-social activities to go out and do. So they do one of those a month with this program, which I think is a great thing. Things like going bowling, stuff like that, stuff they may not normally do, but know that, okay, we can go do this instead of going out and using or anything like that. So I thought that was one of the really interesting components of that, get that buy-in and get them to go out and do those positive social activities.
The only education being done that, to an extent that I'm aware of, is the DARE program in 5th or 6th grade. So this is only like a little bit that is happening at the high school.
And then the last request came from Public Health. This is kind of a part 2 of the TALCOP presentation that was put out in August by TALCOP, and that was for professionals. This is, again, another speaking engagement from TALCOP, a different member, but this will be for students in the community. So this will round out, we gave our professionals some education about the types of drugs that are readily available in our community, and what to look for and how to approach it. And this will be education to students, parents, community on similar things, is my understanding, so that they also have the knowledge and understanding of what's out there, the effects, and maybe what resources are available to them to work with. And Dan on that one?
I'll just say I saw Officer Gomez a couple weeks ago at a training, and he's wonderful. He presents, in ways that the layperson can understand. We know in our world of what's happening out there, parents and students have no idea. The dangers of social media and substances and all of those, and the outreach and how far that actually reaches when they go on those phones. So I think this could be really positive to show parents exactly what is happening out there, and hopefully get some engagement from parents, because that is one of the hardest things we're facing, is getting the parents engaged and trying to make those changes.
I did reach out to the schools when this was presented, and Public Health, their vision is to have him present at the ISD 361 and then present at Little Fork, and have the North Home kids go to Little Fork and attend, and then do one evening for all of the county to attend for parents and guardians.
That'll be included with this here?
Yes.
So from the county's opioid settlement committee, those are the 5 projects we're recommending. That totals $81,675. From the fund, that does not include the $25,000 that we budget for to apportion the treatment court out of those funds as well. So if approved, we'd be spending about $106,000, if my math is correct. On the second page, we had 4 other applicants that the committee is not recommending funding at this time. We had another application from the Falls High School, or ISD 361, for $20,000. for a 3-part public awareness and prevention initiative, which was mostly guest speakers. We also had another application from ISD 361 for $200,000, and it was kind of a phase. They had a tiered system, $100,000, $150,000, and then a $200,000 ask to help build and construct a wellness center at the high school that they could do programming in. We had a request from Rainy Lake Medical Center of $25,000. The dollars were to enhance and stabilize critical operational components related to education, overdose emergency response, prescription drug monitoring, community outreach, which I think the application talked about were not new programs, but this would just help support their operations. And then finally, we had an application from Trellis Marketing. I can't remember where they were out of, but basically they would do a targeted ad campaign, whether through social media or newspaper or I don't know if it was billboard, but kind of they do a targeted marketing awareness piece for our county or our area. So those are the 4 that the committee is not recommending at this time. So if there are questions from the board ultimately approves these grant dollars. That is required per the MOU with the state. If there aren't any questions, I guess my suggestion would be to approve, modify, or deny them one at a time, rather than as a whole, so we can take them one at a time and you guys can discuss them or
Hey, just a question on one of the ones that were denied. It was like a 3-part public awareness. Is there any type of an initiative to get into the public a little bit more and kind of make this a little broadly advertise that this is going on and maybe make a longer range type of plan to continue to do that? I mean, I don't know if that would be some part of public health, an initiative. I'm not sure how that would work. I just kind of feel that the public should be looped into this maybe a little more heavily than what it is right now, because a lot of these are private type things. I shouldn't say private, they're in the school and that, but maybe more out into the public and for the kids and parents and countywide. And then another one would be, I like the idea when you mentioned on the $9,000 public health from Talcott that you're going to reach out to the other schools. And I noticed that, would that be something that could be done on a continuum type thing or annual or biannually type of deal to where we can have these public awareness campaigns. And I don't disagree with marketing at all a little bit either. I know it's a little bit much, but the marketing thing is advertising and stuff isn't an end of the world type of thing, I guess, either. But just, but yeah, is there reasons or things that we can do for that?
Absolutely, if I can talk. If I encourage everyone to read the memorandum and the funding principles. Public health can do all the things, but there's no direction for public health to do that, specifically from the funding. So that would need to come from the board.
Okay. Well, maybe we could discuss something like that, I think, try to make it a countywide deal to where we get into the schools. North Home, Little Fork, if they want, obviously, that would be under their discretion, but.
Well, it's going to be my question is, awful lot of dollars requested from 361 and nothing from 362 or 363. Are they aware that these funds are available?
Yep.
They just choose not to? Or?
Yeah, it's a voluntary RFP process. All the information went out to all the schools and everywhere. They've been on our calls that we've had regarding this. So.
No.
And again, I feel that this has been since the beginning when the opioid dollars were distributed and admin and public health had to come up with a plan. I definitely think, again, if you read the memorandum, the principles, everything that should be being done, it could take a new approach and we could run with it, so to speak, so the community can be aware. In comparison with other counties, I use Aiken County as one of our sister counties, that we compare to. We could mirror that. They have public meetings. When we did ours, it was by Zoom, but it was an invite. Again, the memorandum is like a Bible, so to speak, and you can go step by step. And I can get that to the board. It is on our website. There's just a lot more that can be done, and in my opinion should be done. But again, that would all need to come from the board.
And I think that this is our second round. So we've had a lot of discussion in the committee about sustainability of efforts, right? Whether it's programs or education. And so we were looking to community partners to be able to develop something and present that to us to fund. And we want to collect data when we do give money to say, okay, what was the impact? How many people did we reach? What was the outcomes? Those types of things. So we've also talked to our committee about revamping things on how we go about things. And so I think we'll meet again after the first year a little bit more often to talk about our process and then present back to the board as well. Certainly other counties, a lot of other counties get a lot more money. They're funding full positions in their public health arenas to not only facilitate the funds, but also to do programming with that. And so, if that's something that the board would like to see or that the committee is recommending to the board about funding a position or part of a position to not only facilitate this, but to provide ongoing education and programming, certainly something that can be considered.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's a great idea to get it out a little bit more front facing and kind of like a neon light, I think, because this is going to be a continuing problem, in my opinion. I've seen it. You mentioned vaping. My son was 10, and somebody drove by in a car and offered him a vape. Him and his buddies. And it's like, not right to do that, obviously, right? So it's everywhere, and if they're doing it in the schools and even in the elementary schools, that's so shocking to me that in the elementary level schools, gosh, you could have never imagined that would be happening. So.
On that note, when Talcott came and presented to the professionals, he said education should start in second grade.
Right.
And again, our schools don't have the ability to do that, so I do think that's important.
Well, maybe discuss that at a later time get through this year and then kind of go through some of the concerns of getting into the schools and the other communities and making sure everybody's as included as they want to be. And then I think it's important to get into the school myself. I think that's the number one place to get to, and then obviously to make the parents aware as well. I think is extremely important. So maybe there can be some information that goes through the school, through the children, to the parents about some of the events that are going on, and then in general, and then maybe more specific for them. So that's just what I think. I don't want to talk about it too much here because you'll see how uninformed I am about all this stuff. But any discussion on any of the funding?
Maybe we can try a marketing program next year. We'll go through the funding.
Well, do you want to take them one at a time and then through the process?
Sure, we'll just go one at a time. How about item number 1, International Falls Police Department Drug Task Force, the amount of $21,000 is basic narcotic investigation for 3 officers, come back and train others, equipment for that, which is within the packet. They'll see what that equipment and stuff that they're looking for is, wages and things like that. I know they had some requests. Was there some requests as well for treatment court, some time reimbursement there as well? Was that mentioned, Joel? Or?
I don't think that was factored into it, but I just think it was mentioned that a member does attend the treatment court to have that complete buy-in
Okay.
of the police department.
All right, that's always part of that. Thoughts on number 1?
Will they work with the sheriff's department on that too?
I believe the sheriff's department has their own drug task force
Okay.
that's separate. through the Paul Bunyan.
Sheriff's is part of the Paul Blaine Drug Task Force. Certainly they do team up on certain events, but the city runs their own drug task force.
Okay.
Does that level sound appropriate?
I'll make a motion for that. I'll second.
Great. Want to do them one at a time unanimously, or do you want to? How do we want to do that? Want to vote on each one?
Sure.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Roach, seconded by Commissioner McIntyre, to fully fund the International Falls Police Department Drug Task Force in $21,000. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Item number 2, partially fund up to $10,000 for pet boarding and transportation and treatment reimbursement for the calendar year 2026 for servants of shelter. And that'll be specific to pet boarding and transportation to and from treatment.
I think that's money well spent. I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner McIntyre,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Hell. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is the ISD 361 for vape detectors in school bathrooms, locker rooms that notify staff for intervention and education.
I'd make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Watson. Discussion?
This is just for the equipment, the detectors.
Yes.
Installation of Bluetooth.
Little Fork is using them already?
Little Fork already has them, yes.
And they do work good.
Yes, I mean, there's some, like she said, false alarms, and catching parents at basketball games that go in there.
It's not just
So-
vapes, it detects smoke and other
And
things as well.
gunshots as well.
Yep.
Really?
So sometimes it detects if like there's a really loud locker slammed or something.
You're allowed to intervene as soon as they're notified?
Yep, it goes straight to an app, and then they're able to go right to wherever it
Bus
is.
open?
Yep. Yeah.
I believe it does it go to James' phone.
Yeah, it goes right to whoever's set up to their phone, and so they're able to go right to the immediate alert and see what it is.
Can't get over
It's
this.
concerning that the
I like the loud locker
fifth
slam.
graders,
Kids
Well, I heard
are
this.
slamming lockers
Fifth
just to say
graders.
that. Gee,
It's happening younger and younger.
that's concerning.
Great. That funding request is
I had a
23
cigarette bill, it was 30-year-old.
23,800. We have a first and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Next up is fully funded amended wage of $17,875 ISD 361 Alternative Learning Center. And this was the highest scoring application. Mentoring and peer groups and things like that. Thoughts?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll support.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre. Thank you, Commissioner Hell. And that is in the amount of 17,875. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is Public Health request of $9,000 for Tall Cop, and this will be a continuation of education. This is specific to students and parents in
Correct.
this situation, and then there'll be some speakers for Little Fork, North Home, ISD 361, and then public for the whole public, wherever it happens to be.
Yep.
Okay.
And how many times is this gonna happen with this?
Just the one time.
Just the one time?
Yeah.
if we're concerned about the second graders and third graders, this should be maybe dealt with differently. I don't know about this year, but for sure next year.
And absolutely, that's up to the board if public health could look into that and.
To do it more than one time during the year.
Oh, yeah, we'll get through this, and I got a thought on what we could do for next year. Maybe we could add some funding to look into that now, and then just kind of look into it, but we'll get through this and get into your concern. Other thoughts? I'd make the motion if I could, so.
I'll make it.
All right.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Howell. Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. So those totals amount to $81,675. Again, that does not include the $25,000 for the treatment court for 2026. But to Commissioner Howell's point, there can be a consideration, a motion made to designate funding to address immediate concerns of the schools and the younger children. There also can be some funding set aside, I think, because Trellis will do whatever you want. They don't need $46,000. They can get whatever you want out of, you can do a $10,000 plan if you want to. So that's not the end of the world there. And then I think under the 3-part awareness and prevention initiative, that would be something that we could consider designating some funding for next year, just to earmark it, if that's a consideration of the board. And to the amount, I'm not sure. I would take suggestions on what that amount would be from anyone who is to kind of bring in, I think, I don't know what you were thinking, but educating some of the younger students specifically.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Chair, you could make a recommendation to direct it back to the opioid committee to come up with a plan to do additional education to students or younger students or whatever you guys are looking at.
Right.
And then the committee can look into that and make a presentation back to the board. I don't think we need it to be in our budget for 26. That opioid fund is there. If the board approves and wants to spend it in March or July, or you can make that any time. Our process is just that we've always opened up an RFP, but per the MOU, the board can approve the spending of those funds so long as it meets one of the requirements.
Yeah, I think that would be a good consideration. It won't earmark it if we can just, deficit spend, if you will, out of this year or out of the opioid fund. That would be something I think would be important, mentioning it. And we might as well get this funding to good use, I think, too.
If I can just recommend, or just to make you aware, I do feel that the committee, there should be others at the table that directly affect them. I feel like more input and decisions could be made better for the community if others were involved.
Well, maybe start out with your initial committee and then kind of go from there to see who you want to bring in on, depending on what y'all discuss. The marketing as well. I mean, I think that's a good idea to market it a little bit as well. I think maybe not to the amount that they're asking, but something that makes sense and is reasonable. Never hurts to have a billboard. It never hurts to do something like that if it's within reason. So
Public health could model something after what they do.
Yeah.
Rather than.
That's a discussion we can have at the committee level then. And
yeah,
go from there.
that would be fine. If you want to do a committee of the whole, with the board or something, if you have some ideas and thoughts, and get narrow it up a little bit if you need to, or you think you need to.
I have all kinds of ideas.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if you need to do that, that's fine. Otherwise, just come back with whatever you come up with. Obviously, it doesn't have to be.
Do you want to make an official board motion to direct
Yes.
the opioid committee to explore and recommend education and marketing campaign?
Yeah, we'll mix it in with the approval of the funding of the opioid grant requests as presented, and then also with the addition of.
We got separate motions on all of them anyway, so if you want to do
we'll do a separate motion.
so, direct
Just what Adam said.
opioid committee to research and recommend education and marketing program for opioid prevention.
Have you run into any other counties that have used trellis?
No. I am aware that the state has a lot of campaign awareness around cannabis and opioids that public health has been looking at and putting what we can on our Facebook page. But they have a campaign that you can pull from to use and do whatever with.
That trellis marketing one that came in, I found it was a canned one that they sent to every county, I think, that had an RFP, because I found in there, instead of say Koochiching County, it was like yellow medicine or
Yeah, it was very generic.
yeah. So I think what they did is just replaced each county's name and did the same thing and sent it to each county. I looked them up. They're a very large marketing firm. So
Yeah, you can dial in whatever you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to give what they
take
what they give you or whatever. You can do whatever you like to do. I'm thinking some of that stuff that the CVB does, might have some contacts there that are, kind of could dial it in a little bit for what we want.
So up for consideration is to direct the opioid settlement committee to research and recommend education and marketing. For opioid prevention awareness.
Thank you, Commissioner Erickson. Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much for hanging out
Thank you.
and all the work. Stay right there. You're going to be up here pretty quick, aren't you?
I'm up right next one, the addition.
Yes, okay, yes, proclamation of support for Rural Health Day. Thank you for the addition. I was going to skip it over and go right to John, but so thank you.
Yeah, this proclamation, I had this slated, I was going to bring it to the board on the 24th, but then realized that the day was the 20th. So it's like I asked Adam if we could do this one as an addition. Tara is not here today, so I'm presenting this on behalf of public health. This is something they're doing a pretty big push around this between public health, Rainy Lake Medical Center, Northline Counseling, Koochiching Aging Options, getting information out there about the importance of working together on Rural Health, National Rural Health Day. And this is just a proclamation from the board stating, that Koochiching County is a rural community facing unique challenges to achieve health equity and everything regarding geographic isolation, limited access, workforce shortages, all the struggles that rural communities like ours face. And how we are partnering with local partners such as Rainy Lake Medical Center, Koochiching Aging Options, the schools, churches, tribal partners, community-based organizations, Northline Counseling, all of our limited resources that we have, how we work well together to try to bring in as much services as we can in our small community with the barriers that we face. And it's just recognizing the effort of all of those entities and all the work that they do to try to make our community and our county a better place for all of our citizens.
And that is November 20th.
It's November 20th, yeah, 2025, so.
All right, wishes of the board.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner McIntyre.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. Discussion. And I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries.
All right, thank you. And one other thing is I have two different options of this that we could sign. I've seen it done both ways. I wanted to leave it up to the board's interpretation how you'd want to do it. Would you just want the board's chair signature on there, or would all the county commissioners like to put their signature on this proclamation? I have options of both, so.
Doesn't matter what we do it all. Doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to leave it up to you guys because I've seen it done where it's just the board chair. I've seen it done where the whole board signs it.
We
so.
can all sign it, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I can get that to you after because I got to be here for committee of the whole anyways. So,
Okay.
and for the sake of time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, okay.
All right, we will see you in a little bit.
All right.
Next up is sheriff business, is to ratify a maintenance agreement and The stone garden grant.
I don't think the first one's John's per se, but a couple weeks ago, part of the new jail construction project, I think the DOC requires a maintenance agreement on this bi-directional amplifier. It's a piece of equipment for the radio system. And so in order to keep the inspections moving, we approved it. It was part of the scope of Hanson Electric. So Hanson has to pay for the first year of the maintenance agreement. But because we bring all agreements to the board, we're going to ratify it. It's already been signed and sent in, but I want you to be aware that we have a maintenance agreement for this and the purpose of that. So asking the board to ratify the agreement that was approved by myself and Karen.
Wishes of the board.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach. Discussion. Hearing no public question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And motion carries. Thank you. Now to the stone garden grant. Thank you.
Yes, we've got the FY '24 Stone Garden Grant, $150,000 grant. Approximately $67,000 of that is for the overtime hours worked on the road, which of course benefits not only the Border Patrol, but our citizens in the northern end of the county as well, because it is an extra deputy out that day patrolling. Also the IFPD, they get a portion of that as well. And they also patrol the whole border, east and west, not just in the city. Equipment-wise, $65,000 is going to go towards a new squad. So that's really big. And then with fuel and maintenance and mileage reimbursements, that's almost another $16,000. That is basically the gist of it for this FY24 grant.
That's great. That's a great year.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking the time and filling it out and explaining it. Wishes of the board.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Rottenberg. All discussion.
So that's a good deal for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And motion carries.
I think I had you sign this one last year. Adam. Or Carol, so you see that.
Highway.
All right, good morning. So Highway Department has 3 items here. The first being approve the revised Koochiching County ATV ordinance. Of course, this morning at 9 a.m. we had a public meeting regarding the revised Koochiching County ATV ordinance. Some background on the ordinance. So the original Koochiching County ATV ordinance was adopted in 2010. We discussed it at the September 23rd Committee of the Whole. At that time, it was requested to update the ordinance to coincide with the changing landscape of the ATV industry, as well as attempt to improve language to match other neighboring counties. Public hearing was required. The minimum of 10 days advertisement prior to adopting the updated ordinance. Public meeting was set at the October 14th board meeting for today, November 18th at 9 a.m. Meeting notice ran in the Rainy Lake Gazette on 11/6 and 11/13. 4 changes in the ordinance. The first one was located in subdivision 1. We removed the trial period language and included recognition of the Voyager Country ATV Club. Second item was in subdivision 2. This expanded the ATV definition using Minnesota Statute 84.92, subdivision 8, subdivision 9, and subdivision 10. So this makes sure that we've included both Class 1 and Class 2 ATVs Class 1 being your typical four-wheeler, Class 2 being a side-by-side or UTV. Subdivision 4, we updated the speed limit from 20 miles an hour to now state no person shall operate an ATV on Koochiching County maintained roads at a speed greater than reasonable or proper under the circumstances, or at a speed greater than the posted or unposted speed limit on county roads for motor vehicle traffic. And then subdivision 6, we updated the effective date to January 1st, 2026. Those were the updates that were made at the public hearing. We heard a little bit of comment from Voyagers National, or Voyagers Country ATV Club, just thanking us for the update. I had one comment just asking for information yesterday on the phone. Just curious on what we were updating, but no opposition or anything. So, requesting approval of the revised Koochiching County ATV ordinance as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Any discussion?
Let me go back to subdivision 4. Subdivision 4, I know I mentioned these statutes here. They are not mentioned in the ordinance. It's just referred to as statute. So it says, no person shall operate an ATV on Koochiching County maintained roads at a speed greater than reasonable or proper under the circumstances, or at a speed greater than posted or prescribed by statute on county roads for motor vehicle traffic. In the RBA, I referenced a statute that was taken out at the direction of county attorney.
It'll refer to statute language of questioned or challenged, right?
That particular statute, 169.14 subdivision 2 would be the statute that would be referenced to. However, Jeff preferred that we just use prescribed by statute.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. All right, any other discussion? Well, thanks for everyone's work on it, yourself and Nathan and the club. Obviously kind of trying to get these trails up here, so Commissioner Roach sits on that committee as well. We've been pushing it along.
Much needed. That way there we align with everybody else, all the other counties around us, so we're all in the same boat.
And as mentioned in the public meeting, this will be on the Koochiching County Highway Engineers page as well on our website.
And I think it will be shared with the clubs.
Yes.
Our club and the club that are adjacent to us.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 2, authorize engineer to seek bids on a new motor grader. So the Highway Department is requesting authorization to seek bids on a new motor grader. The motor grader will replace a 1989 Cat 140. It's currently located down at the Silverdale location. The International Falls grader would go down to Silverdale, and then International Falls would take the new grader. This is a 2026 budgeted item. I realize that the budget hasn't been set. And additionally, we'll be using state bid and source well pricing. One of the reasons that I'm coming to you guys a little bit early before the budget is set is the lead times, potential lead times. We'll get into that with the third RBA that I've got here on the small fleet, but these folks will say it might be 6 months, it might be 3 months. That turns into 9 months or 12 months real fast. So the sooner we can order, the better.
Great, and this is just,
And again, this is just quotes
Looking
or
for
bids,
bids.
not authorization to purchase.
all right, wishes of the board.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Discussion.
If it's just for bids, I would cast a wide net. Not just cap John Deere. Those other makes up there.
We have looked at Komatsu in the past. Komatsu actually gives a pretty good price. However, they didn't a couple years ago have attachments for plowing. And they don't have the name recognition behind them. They seem to make a good grader.
There's lots of good products out there. It's my own sense in my line of work that there's better equipment than some of the locally supported stuff. What's the right way to put that? Name recognition stuff.
Right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, the third item is authorize the engineer to seek bids on 2 new small fleet trucks. These will be half-ton trucks. Again, they are 2026 budgeted items. So these 2 trucks would be stationed in Big Falls and Mizpah. We would take the 3/4 ton that's in Mizpah and replace the 3/4 ton that you guys had to haul back to the shop. I am requesting to seek quotes early. So we ordered a 2025 truck back in December of 2024. We still have not received that truck. It was ordered through state bid through Hibbing GM. It's been a mix-up at the distribution facility, and I would prefer to not have to wait that long to get a new truck. I still don't know yet if we're going to get that truck in 2025 or if it'll be a 2026 item where I have to carry the funds over into the next year. I did talk to Hibbing GM here the other day, and they said that they also ordered a 2026 with the same specs. So if we haven't seen this truck soon, they're going to give us the 2026.
So you might as well buy another one, yeah.
And they'll eat the cost of the other one or sell it to somebody else, when it comes in. Or if we had the option of picking it up, we could as well.
Get them both.
Yeah, so we'll be using state bid. Again, of course, I'm not real enthused at state bid right now, especially on those vehicles, but, and then we'll also be approaching the local vendors for bids or quotes.
All right, Commissioners of the board.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Discussion. Right, no discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Public comment, is there anybody in the audience or online for public comment? Anyone online for public comment? Great, no public comment. Any other business? Other business, I would accept the motion to adjourn.
I'll
make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Roach.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.